This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? A happy Saturday to you all. Greetings live from Winnipeg Jets FanFest here at the Hockey for All Center on the west side of Winnipeg. Training camp fully underway, and the festivities of the Winnipeg Jets annual FanFest continue. So we figured we'd fire up a little live show for you after our pals at Illegal Curve just finished up next to us. We got preseason hockey tonight. We'll get to tonight's lineup for the Winnipeg Jets preseason opener against the Minnesota Wild. Also talk a little Bombers before a big one tonight, 6 p.m. Winnipeg time from Edmonton. Winnipeg and the Elks. And a little later on, Connor Rabchuk and Jacob Stahl are going to come by and fill you in on what you have to look forward to tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. live on the Winnipeg Sports Talk channel for the first edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Sunday Live with Connor, along with Jacob Staller and Liz Hood. You can set your weekly alarms right now to 9 a.m. Sunday all season long. Connor, Jacob, Liz will have the latest on the Winnipeg Jets and some fun weekend chat for you outside of our regular Monday to Friday Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily programming. Andrew Paterson with you, Michael Remis. Shout out to all of our sponsors that make Winnipeg Sports Talk happen, and all of the fans that have come out today on a Saturday to get things going for the upcoming season. This has been, we've been here for a few hours already, Reem, and another great turnout, and the vibes are high going into another season.
You know what? FanFest is always a great atmosphere. People are excited to get a close look at their favorite players, at the members of the Jets. There's a lot of activations here. They're giving away chocolate bars, $5 Jet Dogs. People getting Jet Dogs like 9, 10 a.m.
Who would do that?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I've seen people walk around. They're giving away a lot of autographed game-worn merchandise. People got sticks, pucks. And again, the Jets are practicing, getting ready for a game tonight. The game is on TSN 3, the Bomber game, TSN 1. So very exciting time to be a Winnipeg sports fan.
Multiple TV night.
Yeah, multiple TV. I think you got to get the tablet as well. You know, whatever you got to do to watch both at the same time. But people are fired up for the start of the season, getting a look at a lot of, I guess, the returning players from last year, but some of the young players getting a lot of excitement as well here, and you're going to see a number of those in the lineup tonight. So great to be at FanFest, packed house here at the Hockey for All Center. An exciting time as, you know, this is the opening of the NHL preseason tonight here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, listen, we'll get to that lineup tonight in just a minute, and it will feature many of the young players that we've been talking mostly about, you know, including Braden Yeager and Colby Barlow, who were clicking earlier today in some power play drills. I'm actually really excited to see what that group can do this evening. But listen, I mean, obviously two major stories from training camp that aren't of the positive variety. Cole Perfetti's still not here. They're in somewhat of a standoff, I guess. The Winnipeg Jets, Perfetti's representatives, and this has taken a little longer than I think we'd all hoped or expected, but no Cole Perfetti. But honestly, the Cole Perfetti situation can be changed in a second. I mean, we could get a press release during this program that they've agreed to terms, and we'll see tomorrow at practice, Cole. Obviously, we're hoping that in. What came out yesterday afternoon as we finished up our program after Scott Arneal's address yesterday, Remis, was I think more concerning because the uncertainty of it, and that is an infection to the surgically repaired ankle of Ville Heinola, which is going to keep him out potentially long term. And I mean, listen, if you watched the show yesterday, basically reacted to it in real time, seeing the tweet from Mike, because we were on the air as the coach was speaking. And I've talked to a bunch of friends about last night. You think about last year, like how the defense was so healthy all season. The Jets, for the most part, outside of Gabriel Velarde and Kyle Connor for some stints, were a pretty healthy hockey club. It seems like all of the bad luck of this organization has been put on the shoulders of Chaz Lucius and now Ville Heinola. And Heinola, we remember, he made the team out of camp last year. He was one of the best stories of Winnipeg Jets training camp. In the final preseason game against the Ottawa Senators, went into the corner awkwardly, broke his ankle, cost him the better part of half the season just to get back on the ice. And this was his time to finally grab that spot as an NHLer, become a regular for the Winnipeg Jets, and fulfill that promise that we saw when he was drafted in the first round. Hard to... we talked a little bit about it, but it's hard to put into words just how seemingly unfair this feels for the young man. And as I tweeted out yesterday, you just hope that this can be not as bad as maybe it sounded when we heard about it from the head coach, that he can get past it and get back onto the ice, because there's so much unfulfilled potential of Ville Heinola. He's a very popular young man in this organization and certainly amongst the fans. And that was a gut punch, I think, to a lot of fans, and I'm sure a lot of people within the Winnipeg Jets offices that are really pulling for this young guy to come in, contribute, and be a big part of the future of this team.
Yeah, 23 years old in the final year of his ELC, waivers exempt. This was his opportunity this season to rebound from last year. When you fracture your ankle, you make the team in the final preseason game. You're kind of playing catch-up all year, get some time with the Moose, but you don't quite make it back. And that's the craziest thing last year. I mean, so many years with the Jets, you have so many defensemen injured. You're going to play Brett Festerling, Mark Flood. Like, you can go down way down the depth chart that they've gone to. Like, Declan Chisholm is getting in games here and there. And it just didn't happen last year. Everyone was healthy, so you don't really need Ville Heinola, who's a former first-round pick. You think, okay, well, it didn't work out last year. This year, this is the year for him. We've been talking about Ville all summer, saying, there's going to be a spot for him. He's practicing with Colin Miller, and then you find out, you've got this infection where the spot where the screw is with the surgically repaired ankle, and there's really no timeline. Could be a couple months. That is a real gut punch for everyone who wanted to see him have success. He's played so well in the AHL. You want to see what can he do, and there's a perfect spot opened up for him. The puck-moving third pair D, Nate Schmidt, leaves in free agency. Here comes Ville on an ELC. Great salary cap work there. It gives you some relief with that salary, but just really, you're cheering for the human stories. You want to see him have success. And for him to not even have a chance, and it's not even like something happened. Like, it's just such a freak
apparently
thing.
Like, it was they had the way I heard it from the coach. There was some blood work done, and the test came back concerning. He had swelling in his ankle, and now, they're legitimately concerned. Listen, let's hope that this is something that expert doctors, of which the Winnipeg Jets and the National Hockey League has many, will be able to find out and root out and get this young man back on the ice. But at least seemingly for training camp and the start of the season, it doesn't seem like Ville Heinola is in the mix. And it's really unfortunate because, as we said, and again, you don't want to take too much from those early line rushes, if you will. But the fact that he was on the left side with Colin Miller, knowing that Colin Miller is in all likelihood going to be playing right side on that third pairing, potentially even second pairing, this is a great opportunity for him moving forward, and he'll be deprived of that right now. And Scott Arniel, often at this point, NHL coaches, especially ones that are new in the job, although Scott's been with the organization, I think knows Ville quite well, just was frank about it and said this is a real gut punch. He has had such a tough run over this last little bit. And as I said, between Ville Heinola and Chaz Lucius, those two young men have had as much bad luck as some teams do. And you just hope that both of them can turn it around. Chaz, for his part, just quickly on his note, he's looked really good in practice the last few days from what I've seen. And I am very much looking forward to seeing him get out and hopefully get into some action, whether it be in the preseason, whether we're going to take it a little more cautiously and get it out and start playing with the Manitoba Moose. If he can get a little bit of confidence and get some more consistent time on the ice, there's a great player there waiting to, I think, flourish. It's just a matter of will his body allow him to do that? And so far, so good for Chaz Lucius since he took off that non-contact jersey out in Penticton.
Yeah, Chaz Lucius came to, rookie camp, had the yellow jersey. You're like, oh, man, again? But didn't really get in any games. He did take off the jersey. And when he's played, he's produced. We've talked about him and the AHL. He was really on fire in the WHL a couple years ago and then got hurt. And again, last year, he had another surgery. He's working, he's working to recover. And, you think he's going to start in the AHL. But if he is healthy and he's playing like he's been able to in the past, if there's enough injuries, maybe he does, get some time. But you just want to see him, most importantly, on the ice, playing. And if he's playing, you think he's going to be producing because that's what he's done. So he's working towards coming back. Nice to see him in a regular jersey, not in the lineup tonight. Maybe he'll get in a game at some point. That's something we're going to watch for going forward as he still shows promise as a Jets prospect.
You know what? Pull up tonight's lineup if you can. While I do this, I'm just looking at the chat. And listen, great to see how many people are here with us as a sort of an unscheduled, normal Saturday show. I see some people saying WST Saturday morning should be a thing. Our boys at Illegal Curve, feel free to mute your mic before you do that, Reem. The producer should probably know that. But anyways, we'll let the IC guys handle Saturday mornings. But as I mentioned, Sunday mornings, going to be very, very fun here on WST moving forward with Connor and Liz and Jacob Stoller. And Connor and Jacob are going to pop by in just a few minutes to let you know what you can look forward to coming up in the tomorrow morning and throughout the season with the new Sunday show. Good to see everyone. By the way, shout out to Ryan Mules, who said, great meeting you both today. We had a ton of people pop by and say hi, and it's always fun. I mean, obviously, we've got a great connection with many of our regulars, people that have been out to some of our WST events. There's a whole other crew of people that listen on the podcast that we don't get to interact with directly on the YouTube show and whatnot. This was a great, great chance for us to connect with many of them. So let's get to this preseason game tonight. If you can, throw up those lines, Remo, and fill us in on how tonight's Jet team is going to look for the preseason opener after the FanFest gate this morning.
Yeah, I got the lines here. Iafallo, Lambert, Velarde, Chibrikov, Nemesnikov, Appleton, Barlow, Yeager, Barron, Julian, Shaw, Levis, defense, Sandberg, Salamonson, Anhorn, Miller, Kuzman, Bauer, goalies, Kakinen, and Milic. The most veteran line here, veteran guys, Iafallo, Velarde, the most regular NHLers, the two former Kings in their second year with the Jets now, centered by Brad Lambert, who we've been spending a lot of time talking about. But one guy getting in his first preseason Jets action, Colby Barlow. Remember last year wasn't healthy, couldn't quite stick around long enough to get into a preseason game. I'm looking forward to seeing him in a Jets jersey for the first time. And another guy for the first time in a Jets jersey who we spent a lot of time talking about over the last couple weeks. He'll be on the line with Braden Yeager. A bit of friends maybe from playing at Hockey Canada camps or CHL, so they do have a relationship. I don't know if it's quite the bromance that Colby Barlow had with Rutger McGroarty at the development camp
that was
last
fake.
year.
That was all fake,
it was,
as we all know.
It was a fake relationship. Maybe this is a real one. And then, playing with a veteran guy, Morgan Barron. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, Chibrikov as well, a guy we spent a lot of time talking about. He, not afraid to mix it up. He's been mixing it up in practices here. Was mixing it up in development
he looked
camp.
great this morning as well. See this. Just look at this. I thought this was going to be like an even. Now seeing this roster tonight, it makes me want to go to this game even more. And I've been very tied between how am I going to do this. I have to watch this Bomber game tonight. I think there may be some double duty with the old phone with the phone in the seats, paying attention to both, because I mean, what a chance for Lambert to show what he can do. I mean, he's not going out there with a couple of other kind of fellow young players that are trying to just get in the mix for another preseason game. He's going to have Gabriel Velarde on his right wing and Alex Iafallo. I mean, two veteran NHLers. I mean, to me, read into this what you want. Allow me to for myself. I think this shows that they're going to give Brad Lambert a shot at center, and this is a great chance to see what he looks like playing with some guys. Well, a guy like Gabriel Velarde that you can pretty much guarantee is going to be locked in on the right side of one of those top two lines.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we talk about Cole Perfetti not being here. That opens up a spot here for Brad Lambert. He's going to get more opportunity. Can he be on the second line with the Winnipeg Jets? We'll have to see, but great opportunity playing with two NHL players, IFL Varia. But how about Chibrikov too? Playing with Nemestikov and Appleton. If he were to get NHL playing time, would he be playing more down in the lineup and have that grinding style of game, but a guy who can also score as well? So, I kind of agree. You said, they're going to play a lot of young guys in this lineup. You're not going to have Mark Schaffer. You're not going to have Kyle Connor. You're not going to have Josh Morrissey. You're not going to have Connor Hellebuck. But there are a lot of players here that are playing for a spot on this roster that want to stick around, and a lot of young players that have promise that you want to see how they perform. So I do think there's a lot. I agree. A lot more excitement. We didn't even mention Elias Salamonson.
I was just about to.
I didn't even bring him up. And now Ville's out. Is there going to be a spot for him with the Winnipeg Jets?
Well, you know what? Listen, if I had to place a wager, I think it's still more likely that he begins the season with the Moose, playing a ton each and every night. And I think we're probably talking about Dylan Coughlin or Hayden Fleury being that seventh defenseman, assuming Logan Stanley is part of that top six, along with Samberg and Pionk, Miller, Morrissey, and DeMello. But Elias, hey, he's going out there. He looked great today. He's been playing with Samberg throughout training camp up until this point, and is going to skate with a guy that is going to be a mainstay of those of that top 10, or of the top 4, I think, assuming that he kind of slides in there with Pionk is what I think people presume we'll see once the season starts. But a big chance for Salmonson. And I know T. Konopali's in chat right now. I know he's fired up about big Tyrell Bauer, who's going to be playing. And then speaking of making wagers, I would be more than willing to bet that Bauer's gloves end up on the ice at some point tonight. You know what the preseason's like, especially for guys like that. If there's any willing combatants on Minnesota, the Winnipeg Jets will certainly have one in their lineup. But we're also going to get a chance to see Jacob Julian playing a preseason game. Mason Shaw in the middle, and Levis. I was impressed with Levis in the skate this morning. But I wanted to get back to Braden Yeager, because Yeager is going to be skating with Colby Barlow and Morgan Barron, which is nice. I mean, you've got another first-round pick, and you've got a guy that is an NHL regular right now on that line. I spent a good portion of the morning focusing in on the skate on that rink, and they were doing some power play zone drills. Yeager and Barlow together were awesome. And the vision of Braden Yeager playing on the right side, he made a couple of absolutely brilliant passes. He made some great puck touches under duress. And he made a couple of brilliant plays, scoring himself and then setting up Colby Barlow for a one-timer on back-to-back consecutive possessions. I know this is early and not even game situation. We'll get a chance to see that tonight. But Barlow, we know the dude can rip it, and he is a finisher. Braden Yeager can do that himself, but he seems to be just a very, very well-rounded player, and showed off a lot of what he brings to the table this morning in the skate, and can't wait to see what he can do in a game situation tonight. Yeah, this is Colby Barlow, as you said, first chance at NHL preseason. An interesting training camp for him. Didn't report to his junior team, Owen Sound, stayed training with Gary Roberts. He knows, it's NHL or OHL for him this year. Not eligible because of age requirements to play in the A, even though he spent some time at the A after his season was done last year. But he's focused, he's ready. Didn't get the chance to show against NHL, preseason competition last season. So we'll see what he can do. We want to see that shot. I think he's kind of big, physical,
I do like the look of that line. Brarin, kind of the fast guy up and down the wing, forechecking, and Barlow or Jaeger, he's the puck distributor. Barlow, I think he's going to be the shooter on that line, but maybe they do get some power play time as well. So that's the young gun line to watch. The top two lines are a younger guy, Lambert and Chibrikov, with two veterans. So it's going to be up to those younger guys on that third line to make things happen. So I haven't really seen too much. You can pull up Minnesota's line. I don't know if they have lines, but I saw their roster. It's not a lot of veteran guys.
See their roster. Let's see how many people even know who they are. That's always fun. Checking out the visiting roster on the first preseason game. Who are the vets?
Okay, let me.
That the Wild are sending up tonight for this tilt. Kuzman with Bauer again. We will see Miller playing with Anhorn on that other pairing, but pairing I think we'll be most interested in tonight from a Jet side of things. Dylan Samberg along with Elias Salmonson, and then a lineup that unexpectedly includes Gabe Velarde and Alex Iafallo playing with Brad Lambert. That'll be your top line. But Barlow in, Braden Jaeger in as well, playing together on that line, and Chibrikov as well in tonight's lineup.
So I got the Wild lines. I mean, no Kaprizov, no Zuccarello, no Brock Faber.
What about Boldy? Boldy making the trip?
I don't see Boldy on there. Marc-Andre Fleury's veteran guy. Man, there's not a lot of NHL.
Freddie
Gaudreau is a regular for them.
Former Ice Carson Lambos at least gets a chance to play in his former home of the ice and his hometown.
Yeah, Declan Chisholm in the lineup, but this isn't. I'm not up to date on Wild young stars and Wild prospects, but it doesn't look like they're sending too many of their veteran players. So we'll see how it looks like. I haven't seen lines, but that was the roster there.
A massive plume of smoke coming from the corner of the rink right now.
Oh my God!
as they clean the grill after making 1,000 jet dogs or so that some people, potentially us, had for breakfast at 10 in the morning today as everyone came in. It's a great crowd today at FanFest. Some really cool things. I will say that if you're popping in late, you're popping over to the rink that's sort of like the carnival ride. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get Evan out here knowing that there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles inflatable thing here. I mean, wouldn't that be at the top of his list?
He is very heavy on Ninja. Okay, I have the Wilds. I got the Wild lines here, but we were here last year. Maybe he'll end up showing later, but I did bring. It is nice for the kids, some good inflatables.
Yeah, there is some good stuff.
That.
And there's a Wild thing where you pay $10 or $20, you spin a wheel, and there's autographed merchandise and a bunch of things from former players that Corey was telling us about yesterday. A lot of sticks and a lot of cool things coming out. Obviously, the Jets gear's set up with their big sale. Copped a couple things from there, and most of all, just got a chance to see so many fans. The Moosers set up with some promos for group tickets and their upcoming season. And, of course, the players. We did hear from Kevin Cheveldayoff right off the bat. He sat down with Sarah Orlesky early on in the festivities. And then Mark Scheifele, the newly married, still short-haired Kyle Connor, and Nino Niederreiter sat down with Sarah as well. So some nice programming over in on the other rink, and two rinks kept for NHL training camp. And then we will have the guys back on the ice this afternoon. A much more veteran group, the group that is not playing. That's coming up this afternoon for folks that are still here at. I keep on wanting to call it Iceplex, but it is the Hockey for All Center.
Yeah, the other rink they have the Q&A. Seems like a lot of Jets players getting married or having kids over the summer. I mean, that would be a pretty good trivia if you could list all those out. I know Pionk and DeMello welcoming new children into the world.
I am personally just glad we're not talking about guys getting married and kids anymore. We're actually talking about a game tonight and upcoming season.
That's the biggest news.
I can only have you going through the Instagram files of Winnipeg Jets for so long before it's time to play some hockey.
Didn't Axel get married? Samberg, Connor. Man, you could just go down the list here.
I would love to hear if maybe Sarah could talk about some of the hijinks of the bachelor parties. However, something tells me that's not going to come out at not going to be coming out at FanFest. Listen, Connor and Jacob are going to come on with us in just a second. Obviously, our focus today is on FanFest, but very quickly, I want to hit the Canadian Football League. We got a huge game tonight, but man, crazy night last night in the league. Hamilton comes back, legs. Our old pal Mark Leggio goes 6 for 6 with the Ticats season on the line. They come back, walk it off, 33-31, beat the Argos for the third time to keep their playoff hopes alive in the East. And then a little later on, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Congratulations, Saskatchewan. First win in 2 months. First win after Labor Day in 3 seasons. And I got to tell you, Remo, there is so many possibilities of what could happen. I hope we're talking about the Bombers getting a stranglehold on this division and having a 2-game lead. But if the Edmonton Elks are to win, we are talking about a division that would have BC and Winnipeg at 7-7, Saskatchewan at 6-7-1, and Edmonton at 6-8 with 4 games remaining in the season. I can't remember any year ever with anything like it. But I will say this, the Calgary Stampeders playoff hopes have left the building. That was the loser leaves town match. Saskatchewan is still standing. Calgary is as good as done, if you ask me.
Yeah, 2 great games right down to the wire. Hamilton kicking the last-second field goal to win over the Argos. And Calgary, they had a chance there to try to make it a game, and Mayer throwing an interception, his first one of the game, coming at not a great time as they're
on 3rd and 1.
Third and 1 from shotgun. Some questionable, I think, decision-making there by Calgary. I mean, you have Stevens. 3rd and 1 is basically guaranteed. You could just run it up. Why they decided to pass from shotgun at 3rd and 1. Questionable. Well, one player for me who I've, kind of dumped on the last couple of years, credit to Bo Levi Mitchell. He had a tough year last year, injured in his first year in Hamilton. Look at these numbers from him, 31 of 40 passing, 362 yards, 1 touchdown. Most importantly, 0 interceptions, not turning the ball over. So Mark Leggio, a real nice game. But I think Bo Levi, the story for them, giving them some stability, a quarterback from a guy who I think wasn't sure if we had anymore, wasn't sure if he was able to take a team to the playoffs in Hamilton. I think they had a lot of questions on their defense, but who comes in and kind of shore things up? I know they gave up 31 points yesterday, but I think Chris Jones, got to give him credit to what he's done with the defense. Not a great head coach, apparently, but when he's just focused on defense.
Or GM.
Or just, well, I think, is he a bad GM? Because Edmonton, since he left, has been very good.
He put together a great team. He just coached them to 0-7.
It's the same players, so I don't know what to think about Chris Jones. Is he? We don't know if he's a bad GM. Maybe he's just a really bad coach, but we're looking forward to seeing that. 2 good games yesterday, and Saskatchewan finally getting a win after Labor Day for the first time in a couple years.
Bo Levi, yes. The BLM movement is not dead. BLM moves forward. Bo Levi Mitchell. And I've been sort of clear. I'm very concerned about what would happen to the Bombers if Zach Claros got hurt. I was kind of hoping the Ticats would lose, and there might be the possibility that Bo could come here to back up Zach and play in case of emergency. I'm not sure Hamilton's even going to be out by the time that the trade deadline comes in a couple weeks. So, and Jake Dolegala, newly acquired, former starter for the Riders and a few games with the Lions. He is active tonight. The big news that Stanley Bryant is back in the lineup tonight as well. All right, special little Saturday edition post-IC here from FanFest for Winnipeg Sports Talk. And while we won't be having regular Saturday programming throughout the year, at least at this point, what we are going to have is some Sunday morning content. And listen, many of you are quite familiar with our pal Connor Rabchak, who was on with us yesterday. We talked about it. Connor and Jacob Stoller and Liz Hood now live 9 a.m. on Winnipeg Sports Talk to kick off your Sunday morning. And Liz away, but Connor and Jacob both here today, fellas. It is great to see you. I'm fired up for tomorrow morning. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. Fired up for tomorrow.
Doing good. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? I don't know. It's so quiet in here.
Yeah.
I can't hear anything right now.
We can hear you. Oh, that's because Remis has you jacked up.
There we go. I like to read the lips today.
There's a lot going on, right? Yes, exactly. We're signing to you through the thing. Of course, you're all familiar with Connor Rabchak. Let's officially welcome in Jacob Stoller, a great friend of the program, part of WST Live Sunday Mornings era, and the new Jets writer for Sportsnet.ca. First off, congratulations
Thank you
on
very
that,
much.
and officially welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. My family is psyched. We can't wait to join Sports Talk, and it'll be a good year.
Well, it is for sure. And I mean, just listen for yourself. Ken Weave, of course, had a big role with Sportsnet for a long time, moved over. And of course, Rennie, does, a lot of things for Sportsnet. Writing, I don't believe, is a part of his forte. And that was sort of lacking for a while.
Yeah.
So listen, just from a Jet fan perspective, great to get a little bit more content on the national broadcaster, if you will. But, you've done a ton. Give people a bit about your background, though, because, you have been on this beat doing tons of great work for the Manitoba Moose, the American Hockey League, the Jets last year, and all leading to a couple great opportunities starting this season for you.
Yeah, for sure. I started doing the Moose beat stuff when I was like 16 or 17, honestly, in hindsight. And then, I moved to Toronto. I covered the Toronto Marlies, and then eventually with the hockey news and did some NHL stuff. Moved back here, was covering kind of the NHL as a whole and doing some Jet stuff, but I was more on a national focus, right? And so I'm thrilled to come back and be, a Jets writer and be plugged in here. Love doing the show with you guys. And it's just, when you're from Winnipeg, you grew up and your love is hockey. The Jets are a big part of it. And I really think this is like last year was a lot of big decisions to make. I think this year's the same, and I'm pumped to do some stuff for Sportsnet this year.
And you know what? You and I go way back at myself, and your Uncle Bobby, shout out to Bob if he's watching in Montreal. I should see him. I'm going to be in Montreal next weekend, Bob. We'll have to hook up for President's Cup. He and I started off hustling tickets in the press box at the old Winnipeg Arena for the Jets. I still laugh every time. 30 years later, he still talks. We should call Barry at AAA Electric right now and see if he wants a couple mini packs. But go way back, and obviously know your dad as well. So it's cool, and it's great to have you back in the city too, because a lot of talented young people kind of get their start. You get out to Southern Ontario, and let's face it, there's a lot more going on out there.
Center of the universe.
But I'll tell you what, both. I don't need to tell you how big and important the Winnipeg Jets are to this community. We're proving this every day. There's demand for this sort of content.
Yep.
People want to see it. It's nice that Sportsnet is kind of getting back to having somebody on the beat daily writing that, but also now to allow you to kind of spread your wings along with this guy. He's been doing such a great job for us over the last year, and this is fun. You've been doing other content, obviously coming on with us, doing some things like with Liz that have been very well received by all of our listeners. This is going to be a chance to get in the host chair, bang it out, and have some fun with a couple really talented people.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited to do it with Liz and Jacob. Jacob and I carpooled all the games. We've been getting close over the last year, so this is great. And then listen, I do the deep dives, like I said yesterday. People have really enjoyed those on the channel. And I did the Jets Weekly last year, slowly building up. And I'm super, super excited for this chance to have my own, or our own, I should say, live show on the WST YouTube channel. And Jets focus, there's a lot that's come out of this weekend, especially Cole Perfetti on side, Ville Heinola news, game tonight, FanFest. So there's going to be a lot of topics, and I hope people who are watching right now tune in tomorrow morning at 9.
Some really nice comments here. First of all, Tyson Ducharme. We need an evil writer like Gary Lawless to get LMAO. Kabila says, I hope Jacob pressure washed himself when he moved back from Toronto. LOL. Joe from Winnipeg, WSD Sunday mornings are about to get lit.
Yeah.
And then here's one from Chris Lev, Jacob, and we'll kind of move on to this topic. There's Drew Mindell. The erotic Drew touching what it's like to have real hair. Jacob, great piece on Cole Perfetti on Sportsnet yesterday. Solid insights. Where are you at on this? How surprised are you that we are now kind of into, well, the third day of the preseason's beginning, and Cole, KO, Chevy, Larry Simmons still haven't been able to figure this out?
Well, I mean, when you see a guy go into the NHLPA media tour in the Jets colors as an RFA, you see him going to charity fishing events. To me, when I saw that, I was like, this is a matter of time for this to get done.
Me too.
But then when you look at like the reports coming out that they're using Shane Pinto as a comparable, and even Dawson Mercer now that's signed, the way I read it is I'm actually not surprised it's taking so long, because if Cole Perfetti's coming there and he's asking to be paid like a Shane Pinto, to be paid like a Dawson Mercer, the Jets have every reason to play hardball, Huss, because you look at Perfetti and you can play the coulda, woulda, shoulda. You could talk about how if he had more opportunity, he would have been able to produce when it mattered most. But the reality was he didn't. So you're going to take a bridge deal because you have to go off comparables. And while Mercer and him have similar points per game, same with Pinto, there's two key differences. Mercer is a guy that's played 82 games 3 times. He scored 20 goals twice. He scored 56 points. That is a very important thing, comparables. Shane Pinto this past year, this is a guy that showed to be a bona fide two-way top 6 center, and Perfetti did not. So you have to box him in more with the winger comparables. And when you look at them, he's more deserving of around $3.2 million. So if you're the Jets, you could say, oh, they have the cap space, so they can work, just get it done. They've got to make decisions, and Chevy said as follows. So I'm not surprised after when you understand the comparables that are being played with here, I'm not surprised that we're at an impasse still.
The other thing that is very important to note is that like Pinto was signing as that 2-year deal wasn't coming out of his ELC.
No, it's his third contract.
That's the other thing. I mean,
totally different.
And you know, and Cheveldayoff mentioned that yesterday. I mean, there are levels to this thing. There's, you know, the guy that's an unrestricted free agent is being treated much differently when it comes to negotiation than the guy that's an RFA with arbitration, and therefore, and listen, I mean, the bottom line for this is, I mean, we can sit here talking about numbers and how far apart they are. They got to figure it out. I mean, whether that is the Perfetti camp kind of saying, okay, wait a second, maybe we're not being entirely reasonable. Maybe there's a bit of a give for the actual player. Like I'm looking at this lineup tonight, and I'm seeing Brad Lambert play in the middle of Gabriel Velarde and Alex Iafallo. And knowing what Brad has done throughout this camp and going to Penticton, I mean, literally doing absolutely everything he can to give himself the best chance of being in the mix. He's going to get out there, and he's going to probably be taking that opening face-off, and he's going to play with 2 bona fide NHLers while Cole's sitting back just waiting to come out and skate for the first time. And, you know, listen, I get it. These are big decisions. This is your livelihood. You want to be paid fairly and accordingly. And a lot of it really is out of his hands as it's sitting with an agent right now. But Cole is going to need to get back out here and play a little bit of catch-up as well. And then, of course, Connor kind of really try and establish himself as something that didn't happen in the second year, and that's a reliable, everyday guy that's producing in the top 6.
And you know what? It's hard to blame Cole Perfetti for this situation. Like, I get the comparison that Brad Lambert put on 8 pounds this summer and has done everything and went to development camp and went to Penticton when he didn't have to. And he's skating with the NHL players tonight, but Cole Perfetti's been equally as professional through this whole thing. You brought up the media tour. The piece in Sportsnet before you got there, like a week ago, was the headline was "I love Winnipeg." Like he has done everything he's needed to do to keep these negotiations cordial on a public like space when he's been talked about at the media tour or whatever the case may be, and now it gets into a little bit of a darker spot because he is not here, and it is FanFest, and everyone's wondering. And the only reports that we've heard is that they are still far apart. And then you get into the Brad Lambert thing and how he's skating with NHLers. So it's really tough because Cole Perfetti has done everything right in this situation and being a pro. But now, I think we said it on Friday as well, if this starts getting into next week, then it starts to get concerning. We're at the point where it's starting to get concerning. He's missing a good chunk of cap now, not just a few days. And it really sucks to see because Cole Perfetti is a guy who had 38 points last year, but I think we all know he has the talent to have 50 or 60 points this year if he's in a top 6 role, if he plays to his full potential. And missing a few weeks of camp can affect how he starts the season, right? Like he hit a wall last year, and that was very evident. But what if he starts slow and then takes a while to get going, and Brad Lambert's chomping at the bit and all these things, right? So it is really unfortunate, and you hope that they can come to a resolution soon, because these negotiations have taken a while.
Right on. We're live at FanFest. Great crew of Jet fans hanging around the table right now, getting ready to take in everything else. We'll have another skate a little later on with some of the veterans right now. But, Connor, to your point about with Perfetti out, listen, there's an opportunity. Like, who knows? Maybe they had planned to give Cole, like they did last year, the first crack in the second line center.
Yeah.
Well, Brad Lambert's getting that face off tonight. He's the one that's getting to play with Gabriel Velarde. He's the one with Alex Iafallo.
And that was Jacob's piece, was how Perfetti has the most to lose from this. Yeah.
We see it every year. When Trevor Zegras missed all of training camp last year, signs the deal, comes out, has a terrible season. William Nylander, a different case, but he waited till December 1st and signed. Had a horrible year. Players that wait out training camp, that miss it, you're getting off to a slow start. You don't have, you're not going to come in right away and get that role right away for Perfetti, because Connor, I agree with you. We said this too a lot throughout the year. I believe in Cole Perfetti, but he still needs to prove himself to be that, right? So when you're in that kind of prove it phase, it's not a good look or not good for your fortunes to be coming in this late. And I think, and I truly believe, and I don't know the intricacies of the negotiations right now, but what I will say is I think that what will lead to a deal is that overarching feeling will prevail. The fact that he needs to be there, they'll get a deal done, and it's a bridge deal. Show the Jets that you are worth more on your next big ticket item.
Yeah, and training camp matters. You see it not only in the NHL but in the NFL. Players get off to slow starts because of the holdouts, and this is different league, different
the
situation.
Panthers wish they maybe played Bryce Young a little bit more in the preseason.
You can say it's just preseason, it's just training camp, but it does matter. Colin Miller today just spoke to us, said how important this first preseason game is to knock the rust off. What if Cole Perfetti doesn't get a preseason game because this lasts all the way to the start of the season? It's just. I agree with Jacob 100%.
Let me throw this out because it's a good tie-in into tonight's game.
Yeah.
Perfetti's not there. Lambert's going to be in the middle of Velarde.
Yeah.
And Iafallo. We're also going to see Braden Yeager play with Colby Barlow. And I don't know if you guys had saw that power play work earlier today with Yeager on the wall was incredibly impressive. Both scoring himself, his vision, the puck touches that he had setting up Barlow. Those guys will be playing together. Chibrikov as well. I still think that there's going to be a young player in the mix in where we thought Perfetti is. If this goes a little longer, I'm not sure that one of these young guys might be able to get a few games at the start of the year that probably wasn't in the cards beforehand.
Yeah.
If the situation drags on.
Well, right, because then what happens is in a situation where these young guys, let's put Chibrikov as an example, or Lambert, whatever, same logic applies. If one of them's having a great camp, Perfetti signs in a week or two, and we're getting down to second and third cuts, the only way that you're getting these guys opportunity is you're waiving or trading a veteran, and that's a whole other discussion here, which I don't think that they're going to do. They probably have to waive someone, but I think you make a good point, Huss. This is a big point for these guys to prove themselves, but the second Perfetti comes in, things are going to change. But alternatively, for Perfetti coming into the 2C race as a late horse, in it, it's not going to help him.
No.
I'm trying to think back, and Remo, maybe you can remember. I mean, Scheifele in the first year actually led the NHL in preseason scoring. And he stuck around. He played in that first ever game for the franchise, which I think was very cool for him. And, certainly when you look back at Jets 2.0 history, Mark being such a central figure, he's part of that.
Scheifele down.
I'm trying to think of any other, younger guys that ended up in junior that at least got a few games at the start of the season and then got returned. It's not a long list.
I don't think Morrissey did. I don't think Josh Morrissey ever had that. I don't believe Nikolai Ehlers did, because I think Ehlers made the team when he could have gone back to junior. So in terms of the 9-game trial, I can't remember anyone except for Scheifele.
No, and that's why. And some of these guys are 19.
Ville, maybe. Ville, technically.
Heinola.
Heinola. That's who it was.
Heinola did play some games, and that's a whole That's a whole nother topic. It's incredible.
Oh,
We're talking
goodness,
about all
yeah.
this, like which 18-year-olds have done it?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Ville Heinola does. Ville Heinola still hasn't been a regular in the league since then. And
Mental.
I mean, I don't know if you guys were in the room yesterday when Chevy was. I was doing the show. Connor, you were on with us, and I just got that text about Heinola's situation.
Terrible.
And I mean, listen, I know. People that are journalists, you're following this. You're kind of not supposed to be invested in it. I am, but you got to feel sick for this kid.
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, I still at this point we really don't know just what the path is. That's the thing. There's so much uncertainty about her, and that's got to just be killing. And frankly, heartbreaking for a kid that seemingly had worked so hard all through last year to get back to this point to be ready to, become a regular in the National Hockey League. Jacob.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't think of a case where there's been a guy, at least in the Jets organization, that's had so many elements of adversity thrown to him. He makes the team as an 18-year-old, was really good. Like, I talked to a couple scouts last week, scouts that are at Jets games frequently, and they were saying that had it been a different organization, Heinola could have very well stayed in the NHL that year as an 18-year-old. And now you look at it, the next year they go down to the Moose. You got to be ready. The next year, the Moose. The next year. Then last year, golden opportunity, breaks his ankle. Horrible. And then now the same ankle's infected. Like, you can't even write this stuff. It's so ridiculous. Because there was on a silver platter, an opportunity for Ville Heinola to come out and be that top 4, top 5, whatever you want to call it, D-man. It's terrible. I feel horrible. I'm going to reserve the judgment. Like, we don't know. Like, I don't know. You were telling me something about infections. Want to pretend to be doctors? I don't know what this means. But
Make sure you clarify that you're not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor at all. I am a journalist. But it's tough because speaking of false starts of training camp for Heinola, you're coming in now. Let's say it's even 2 weeks. In terms of momentum, that's going to throw a wrench in it, let alone even longer. So this is, I have to say, some of the worst news they could have got.
I'll say this. If this had happened in previous years, I mean, it's a massive setback, and you're going to the Moose, and other guys are taking their spots. And listen, it's still pro hockey, and guys that'll be in there, if they play well, they're probably going to stay there. I do think that considering everything that has happened with Ville, how he has built up, how he really earned a spot last year, I think that whenever he is ready to go, he'll get that opportunity, and he'll be out there.
Anymore.
Exactly.
He has no choice. They have to keep him there.
Yeah.
That's why I'm that much more confident in that take, Jacob.
Exactly.
And you talked about how you're talking to scouts, and as an 18-year-old, he could have made that team. If you go back and look at the Jets' defense core in the COVID year,
oh my God,
he should have made that team.
Like
they had a pretty brutal defense core at that time. So when you take all of that into account, where it was like the Free Ville movement way back in the COVID years, where people wanted him in the lineup, and then he didn't. And now he had a chance, and he got the ankle injury, and then he has another chance. And this year he has to, like you guys said, he has to be on the team because he's not waivers exempt. But now he's hurt, he's infected, so it's just so terrible. And I hope it's not as long term. Scott O'Neill did say, like, part of the quote was that they'll reevaluate him in a week. So maybe this is just like a multi-week thing. That's kind of what we're hoping for. It's not any longer than that, and maybe
that's certainly
can come back early in the year.
Of it. And again, I don't know anything about this sort of thing. I'm just reacting to
doctors.
what Scott O'Neill said.
Is there
yesterday.
a doctor at FanFest?
Yeah.
Doctor?
I'm sure.
Doctor?
But you know what? I'm sure most doctors would be like, well, I'm going to need way more information than there's an infection. Like, I mean, sure, there's probably a really bad outcome of this, and there's probably a real good one.
Yeah.
And we don't know. But one thing I'll say, like, I hope that they don't, because of the time that he's going to miss. I hope when he comes back, they give him plenty of time to skate, to practice.
Yep.
Don't rush him in, as eager as he's going to be to get in, because I think it's going to be important that when he finally does get in, he's comfortable, he's feeling good, he's close to 100%, and he can really show what he can do. Because of that, though, and I'm sure you guys will kick this around amongst other topics tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for the debut of Winnipeg Sports Talk Sunday Live. The absence of Ville actually does create a pretty interesting conversation in and around the bottom of the actual NHL roster. I mean, let's assume that he's gone for a month or more.
Sure.
Well, Stanley, Miller, DeMello Morrissey, Pionk Sandberg, I think we can all count on those 6 guys being on. At minimum, they'll have a 7th defenseman. Thoughts on who would have the inside track before we get into the preseason and the guys that are in that competition if we have Ville on IR?
I would probably give the edge to Hayden Fleury. Like, this is a guy that's fairly Oh, we have a bit of a visitor here. Hey there. What's up? He thinks Hayden Fleury too.
Yeah.
But
I love that take.
Great take, kid.
He just was in a rush to get it and tell us. So I think probably Hayden Fleury. Like, there's the experience there. He's played a lot of NHL games. When I saw them sign Hayden Fleury, I'll be honest, I hadn't seen much of him last year. But in years past, I always liked Hayden Fleury as a bottom of the pairing kind of defenseman. He has the experience, so I'd give him the edge there. I don't know. I mean, is there anyone else for you that's...
Well, I wanted to ask you this.
Coughlin's the other guy.
But he's a right shot, though.
Right. I was going to ask you if you think that matters, the left and right shot, because Heinola was a left shot. Stanley's going to be the guy to fill in. The right side is pretty solidified unless Elias Salamonson absolutely shocks the world.
We are talking about a seventh defenseman.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like, I mean, so does it matter that he's a left or right? In the seventh defenseman discussion, probably not, I would say.
Right.
I mean, there's two ways to think about it. If they want to have Hayden Fleury doing the Capo Bianco treatment, so going down, playing 25 minutes a night, they think that's a better use for him, sure. But I would think that the seventh defenseman is going to be a lot more involved in the operation than typical seventh, because, yes, Stanley's in the six you listed, but I don't think he's a lock to be the everyday player if someone like Hayden Fleury has a good camp.
You're exactly right. And Scott Arniel said as much, and that was part of his conversation about actually not wanting a 23-person roster, which kind of seemed a little surprising to me. But then when you hear his, and this is a guy that has been coaching for a long time, but also knows what it's like as a player, both as a regular and a guy that might be on the periphery of the lineup. And he had said, I want my guys, like, I don't just want a guy to be on the roster and just be, we'll let you know in a couple weeks if we ever need you. Here's another bag skate. Like, you know, if he's having seven defensemen, that group will change. The seventh guy will be going in on a more regular basis, and you might have one or two guys that are coming out regularly. So, to your point, I think it is in this case. You know, their handedness will be one thing. I think one guy, you know, acquitting themselves over these next few games, and again, that'll be another thing that we'll be looking for. We are live on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Huss, Remis, along with Connor and Jacob Stoller, and I want you guys to be able to save some of your bullets for tomorrow morning. Now, if you're just popping in late wondering what the heck are the guys doing on Saturday, well, it's FanFest. Big first day. Preseason begins tonight. So we figured we'd fire it up after a legal curve. But if you're just tuning in, first of all, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and turn on your notifications. That will be a reminder for you when Connor fires it up with Jacob, and listen tomorrow for the debut episode of Winnipeg Sports Talk Sunday Live to get you going for a big Sunday. And what a great way to do it. First day to do it, coming out of FanFest, first preseason game, another preseason game tomorrow. Give people the pitch. I mean, what they can look forward to this Sunday and every Sunday throughout the season.
Yeah, every single Sunday, 9 a.m. We're super excited. It's going to be roughly an hour. Maybe we'll go long if we have more topics. And, hey, we have no shortage.
The beauty of the internet, no one's going to be cutting you. Sorry, we've got to go to an infomercial after this. Cut it.
Well, we've got lots to talk about tomorrow, I will say that. So, and the game tonight, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised at the roster tonight. I don't know about you.
Me too.
Yeah. Like, I
want to
wasn't
go to the game. I'm so focused on this Bomber game because of how huge it is tonight. I had already mentally said, okay, I'm going to be watching the Bombers. I'll follow along. Now I'm like, I got to bring my phone. I got to go to the game. I got to watch this.
Salamonson, Lambert, Yeager, Barlow, they're all playing. So I was not expecting that like prominent of a lineup with all these high talented prospects. So I'm super excited tonight. And yeah, we're going to kick that around tomorrow. Which players stood out to us, and obviously the Perfetti and Ville things. More takes on that. Fired up, ready to go.
Jacob, but listen, welcome aboard.
Thanks,
and
man.
Congratulations on the Sportsnet gig. Liz, if you're watching, break a leg tomorrow. You've already been a great addition to the squad. 9 a.m. tomorrow, gang. We are so pumped, Michael and myself, to continue to be able to expand some of the offerings on this channel. And this is in a lot of ways, the next generation of the Winnipeg sports media doing their thing tomorrow, 9 a.m. on Winnipeg Sports Talk, right here on the YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll have that for you there. And again, if you're going to church or something like that, it'll be there waiting for you later on when you get back. The beauty of YouTube. Fellas, enjoy the rest of the game tonight, and best of luck tomorrow. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, fired up. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the show here.
All right, appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thanks.
There it is with Connor and Jacob Stoller. Just mute those things as we take everybody down. And yeah, so listen, we've still got lots going on in and around here. If you want to come by and see us, you can get a free Mars bar just to the side. The IC guys have sort of packed up. We've got the Moose folks. I see some people from Chorus. We've got some tickets. And then I just keep on thinking about Evan and how fired up he'd be for the Ninja Turtle. What is that? A bouncy castle slide?
Yeah.
You got to get one of those. That's what you get for the birthday parties, right?
I've been to a lot of birthday parties where they rent those out. So, yeah, bouncy castle slide here, a couple of those. I think there's some more on the other side, the big jet skier sale. Sarah is doing, Q&As with players. So, lots going on. Oh, yeah, the Jets are practicing. And for a lot of people, us, first time seeing them up that close. Sometimes you go to a game, you're at the 300s. They're like this. They're pretty small. But here, you can get right in there, practice. A lot of the veteran players are practicing this afternoon as they had the game group do the morning skate.
Oh yeah, this is probably not a good camera angle for the two of us too. We'll just kind of switch that over and get Remis in. Obviously, when we do our normal shows, they're longer. But listen, every time we fire it up, we do it thanks to the wonderful sponsors that make this show happen each and every day. The gang at Princess Auto, Coolbet Canada, Garage Living. You can check out that CFL 110 with myself and Hammer before tonight's Bomber game as well. Great night in the CFL last night. Thanks to Canadian Club, Wallace & Wallace, F Apparel, Little Brown Jug, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, the Gold Eyes. Congratulations on a great season. Assiniboia Downs. Rolly's Transfer. God, they've been great to work with as well. And tonight, and of course the Winnipeg Jets. And by the way, for people that have been asking, we have been working on a couple of options for our WST ticket pack. Last year we did the 4 games. Tune in on Monday and Tuesday. We will have details. We're going to make it even more flexible this year for you all. We're going to have a couple more games. Really looking forward to kind of rolling all that out. So stay tuned for that, and hopefully we can have some more great times at Winnipeg Jets together with all of our friends from the YouTube chat, from our podcast listeners, and more. Hey, I did mention Coolbet. Of course, we're focusing on this Jets game tonight, but I did put together a little WST parlay going up against the Edmonton Sports Talk guys. And this is the game reel when you think. I mean, the amount I'm on the air in Edmonton with Dusty doing the lock shop, the relationship we have both ways. This home and home, and with everything around it, is kind of the series of the season when it comes to our two entities. But if you click on the exclusives and you go down to the Winnipeg Sports Talk parlay, here we go. I'm going Brady Oliveira, 100-plus combined rushing and receiving yards tonight. Former Elk, Kenny Lawler, sticking it to his own team with a touchdown, and the Blue Bombers to win. It is plus 525. Click on the Winnipeg Sports Talk parlay in the exclusives. And that game, interesting. Whoa, we've got a little bit of movement the other way now, Remis. It had gone from 3.5 down to 1.5. The Bombers were minus 125 yesterday. Bombers minus 152 today, and 2.5-point favorites. To me, this is a money line play either way. I'm not screwing with the point spread. Too big of a game to worry about a spread on it. It is about getting the win, making it 6 in a row, and getting that stranglehold on first place in the West.
Yeah, I like that parlay. Brady Oliveira, huge role in this offense. And now with Chris Streveler out, are they going to look to him for short yardage?
I didn't have the balls to put a Brady Oliveira touchdown.
Finally score. What are the odds on him? Because normally a running back like him, who's MOP nominee from last year, would be very high to score a touchdown, but he doesn't have. They go for the short yardage. He's the one who gets them down to the one.
It's still minus 118.
Yeah, he doesn't have.
Although Terry Wilson is now minus 133.
That
guy's taking like 2 snaps all year.
That's crazy. So I do like that parlay, but the Elks, they're surging. They're finding their game. They got rid of Chris Jones. The quarterback situation, Trey Ford is healthy. They're saying he's the guy. They're surging, and the Bombers need to say, hey, we need to knock you down a few pegs, make sure you don't catch up to us. This is their chance. BC's on a bye. this week. Saskatchewan, they won. So the Bombers got to keep pace because, this you keep saying this West Division so up in the air. We haven't seen this because, the Bombers are always so far ahead the last couple of years. It's over normally when you get late into the season. So it's nothing decided yet, Huss. And again, two big games against Edmonton.
And the Bombers can really kind of exert their will on the situation if they can win tonight. If not, we are going to have 4 teams separated by 1 game in the West. BC's already at 7-7. If Edmonton were to win tonight, it would be BC and Winnipeg at 7-7. Saskatchewan, after their win yesterday, 6-7-1, and the Elks with the win would get to 6-8. Never seen anything like it. But I'm not here for the drama and the storylines of how close it is. I'm here for the Bombers to get that win and get a 2-game lead on first place, and we can start hopefully planning to bundle up in the middle of November and welcome somebody to the Princess Auto Stadium for a West final, and the Bombers looking to make it a 5th straight trip to the Grey Cup. This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we did it. Thanks again to everybody in chat that joined us live on YouTube. A heck of a crew that has joined us today. And look at Matt Hyman's got my alarm set for tomorrow morning just in case at Connor Rabchak. And if you can, join them live, get into the chat, have some fun. And it'll be a good way. You can talk a little Jets, get some recap and some reaction from tonight's game. And then do your fantasy lineups, maybe hit Coolbet for a bet or two, and sit back for a great afternoon of NFL football. Then a game is it an afternoon game tomorrow? Like a late afternoon game against the Wild?
Game?
The road game? The Jets.
They have a game tomorrow too? It's a home and home?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'm so focused on NFL.
And the home
There's
game.
actually a game on Sunday? I should probably know that. It's part of my job.
Yeah.
How are you pulling it up? We're going to have to talk about that on Monday. They're in Edmonton. Wow. 5 p.m. Central Time.
Okay.
Edmonton, 5 p.m. And it doesn't say if it's on TV or not, so I'm not 100%. The game tonight is on TSN. The game Wednesday is on TSN 3, but it doesn't have broadcast details for Sunday or Friday. Sometimes they just stream those off their website with the CJOB radio feed.
Check the Jets website as far as for TV coverage for tomorrow. And listen, I think that we're going to see a very young team go out to Edmonton.
Yeah, like younger than
imagine.
Than
I think Eric Comrie will probably play tomorrow, and maybe is it Milic tonight? So maybe DiVincentis and Comrie make the trip for the netminders. And a few of the other young guys going in, and then I think we'll probably start seeing beginning Wednesday some of the regulars from the squad getting out there with the Winnipeg Jets. Listen, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to everyone that popped by. It was so great to see so many people in and around us. By the way, for those of you that are still with us, here's a little reward. I just got a message. I think we might have an extra pair of tickets or two for the game tonight. So if you do want to go to tonight's game, send us a DM on our X feed at Sports Talk WPG, and we're just going to confirm these tickets, and if we do, we'll randomly pick a couple people and send you the game tonight. So fire off just a DM to at Sports Talk WPG if you're hoping to go to the game tonight, and as soon as I confirm these other tickets, I'll pick a winner or two and we'll send them out to you. And if you're sending also, let us know your email for where you would want the tickets to be sent. All right, that's going to do it for us. What a great week. Thanks again to our friends of the Jets for the great hospitality last couple days. And, of course, today for FanFest. We'll be fired up to get back at it on Monday. So we'll have so much to talk about. 2 Jets games, Bombers, Elks, full weekend in the National Football League, and of course President's Cup week. I'm heading to Montreal in a few days as well for that. That's going to do it for us from Winnipeg Jets FanFest. Enjoy tonight's preseason game. Go Bombers, and we will see you Monday 1 p.m. But first, tomorrow 9 a.m. the debut of Winnipeg Sports Talk Sunday Live with Connor, Jacob, Liz Hood. Don't miss it. Catch you Monday, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.